I know there's somebody with us that's going to talk baseball every week. It's one of those great comforting things because Jaffe is back, and we get Jay usually every Wednesday at this time, but we're going to do a couple of Thursdays over the next couple of weeks, today and next Thursday, to talk a little baseball and beer with our man from Fangraphs.com. Jay, good to have you back. And a lot of baseball going on, whether it's games today, one of those rare days where Gehrig didn't have it, just outplayed and outpitched by the Tampa Bay Rays, who are finally able to get one over the Yanks.
Yeah, this was a good series between these two teams. They both came away with something. I would have thought the Yankees, given the way that they've been scuffling, that they might have gotten their butts kicked, but they did manage a split here. I had hoped actually to get up to cover at least one of these games, but it just wasn't in the cards for me, unfortunately.
No, the Yanks have been, you're right, it's been a rough go. 3 of their last 10 for New York. Tampa's been playing much better, 7 of their last 10. So they've got the 2-game lead over Boston. And actually, if you look at the 4 teams in the AL East right now, it's a relatively fun divisional race. You've got 5 games separating 1 through 4 between the Rays, Sox, Yankees, and Blue Jays.
Yeah, I think everybody thought the Yankees would be the powerhouse in the division. They've had a ton of injuries and some mystifying underperformances. The Rays, who traded Blake Snell and lost Charlie Morton to free agency, they just keep on going. The Red Sox have rebounded from a pretty dismal 2020 season and 2019 as well. And the Blue Jays, they haven't really taken off, but they're above 500, and their run differential is well ahead of every other team in the division except for the Rays. So I expect them to be playing good ball throughout the season.
I'm with you on that one. Look, I like Toronto. I mean, they've had some good storylines out there. Vlad's been amazing, and the pitching's come around. Robbie Ray's having a nice bounce back season when he's staying healthy right now. And I like some of the young arms. I like Manoah and what he's done since he's come up. So, let's not sleep on Toronto yet. They've got good offense. They've got some pretty good veteran arms and some young arms in the mix. And I want to see what they can do in this race.
Yeah, they're not a team to be overlooked by any means. And they spent a lot this winter to upgrade that team, and they so far they've only gotten 4 games out of George Springer. If he ever gets healthy, I think that team is really going to make some noise.
You wrote a lot about the NL Central this week with both the Reds and Nick Castellanos, and then the Cardinals and the injury to Jack Flaherty. And you look at that race right now, Jason. So we're bringing up races again. Cubs, Cards, Brewers are all right there. Reds are 7 back, but they're 1 streak away from getting back into this thing. And only the Pirates are really the team that seems like they're just way back right now. But, Castellanos is kind of an interesting cat because when he's on offensively, he can be one of the top slugging outfielders in the game.
Yeah, it was interesting. I went and I looked at what he was doing this year, which is leading the National League in batting average, slugging percentage, WRC plus, our total offensive measure, and wins above replacement. And compared to what he was doing to last year, the thing was last year he was hitting the ball hard, but he wasn't getting results. In fact, nobody, especially on pitches that are in the heart of the strike zone, which is kind of the middle part of the strike zone, the meaty part. He had the largest gap in terms of expected results based on the StatCast stuff versus his actual results, which had to be pretty frustrating. He talked a little bit about his mental state this week, and I kind of extrapolating from there. You can understand why, performance-wise, he wasn't very happy either. But this year, he has just been a force to be reckoned with. The problem, unfortunately for him, is that the rest of the Reds have not followed along. They're 7 games below 500 after reaching the playoffs for the first time since 2013 last year. And he's got an interesting case coming up here because he can opt out after this season. And, when you're swinging a bat like this, there's a possibility he could be moved at the deadline if he's sending the signals that he's going to, go for more money this winter.
How about the last 4 games for the Reds? They lose 10-2, then they win 5-1, they win 11-1, and they lose 17-3. That means that their pitching gave up double digits 2 of those 4 games, and then they scored 11 runs in one of the other games. I mean, is this becoming the norm now in Major League Baseball? All of these crazy games. The Dodgers hung 11 in the first yesterday against Carlos Martinez and the Cards.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't know that it's any more prevalent than before, but certainly we do see these blowouts now and then. I watched the Cardinals one last night, Dodgers Cardinals, and that was quite a sight. I noted in that Red 17-3 game that Alex Blandino, utility infielder, a guy who's is the son of a friend. So I kind of, I pay more attention to them than your average utility infielder. Made his 4th pitching appearance of the year in that one. Gave up a grand slam in the ninth inning. I mean, when your utility infielder already has 4 pitching appearances and we're at the 1/3 mark of the season, that's really saying something.
It really is. Hey, by the way, yesterday was Lou Gehrig Day across Major League Baseball. As a baseball historian and really the creator of Jaws and all the work you've done with the Baseball Hall of Fame, give me your thoughts knowing that now we've got Lou Gehrig Day celebrated across Major League Baseball like we do Jackie Robinson Day.
Yeah, I think it's a good tribute, and I obviously the promotion of awareness for amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, Lou Gehrig's disease that killed him. I think it was good to put a spotlight on that and to raise funds to help those people who are living with pretty debilitating disease. Gehrig is the number 1 first baseman in my system, and he's the only one who even approaches him is Albert Pujols, who obviously isn't going to surpass him. But Gehrig was just a remarkable player, obviously incredibly durable while he was, until he got sick, and the stuff of legends really, and put up some amazing numbers with the Yankees. I'd love to have seen what he could have done in the more modern game with integration. To me, whenever we look back on that era, the 20s and 30s and 40s pre-integration, it now comes with a bit of a mental asterisk because we know there were great players that were being kept outside the major leagues, and we'll never know the true extent of those talents.
Do we know how many documented barnstorming games there were between Negro League All-Stars and Major League All-Stars?
Somebody has kept track of the major ones. I don't know what that number is, unfortunately. I do know that the folks who've compiled the Negro Leagues database that is at Seamheads and that's coming to Baseball Reference in the near future, have documented a lot of that stuff and have statistics for a ton of those games. I'd have to look to see what they came up with, because I'm not sure that they've fully published all of that stuff.
I would just love to know if Satchel Paige faced Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig, if we started to see guys like Josh Gibson going up against some of the great arms in the 20s and 30s, like a Bob Feller and some of the others that were great in those days too. Would be kind of interesting also, whether it's a Lefty Gomez or players like that, because we always talk about the records in the Negro Leagues and now how they're being recognized and integration until 47, but it would be kind of interesting to think about when they met up against each other during off seasons and how you could sometimes have those Major League All-Star teams against the best in the Negro Leagues and see how they would stack up.
Yeah, I'm not sure Ruth ever batted against Paige. I think we would probably know about it or know a lot about it if he did. But yeah, there's those games. Obviously, there's a lot of interest, and I think I hope we learn more about them here in the coming years, now that the spotlight has been thrown on the Negro Leagues baseball.
We're back right now with Jay Jaffe, who talks baseball and beer with us from Fangraphs.com. You can follow him on Twitter at J_Jaffe. You're writing about Madison Bumgarner and the latest that's going on with the lefty and the number 1 starter for the Arizona Diamondbacks. It's been a tough year for Arizona. They're in last. You're dealing with Zach Gallen's injury, and you kind of wonder long-term effects if he's going to eventually have to succumb to Tommy John, or he'll be able to avoid the surgery and get back into the rotation. Bumgarner has not been good the last 3 starts. They decided to do an MRI, and They found that there's no real shoulder damage, so they think that they might be able to avoid a trip to the IL. Jay, I don't know if this is breaking news to those Diamondbacks out there, but he hasn't been good for about the last 3 or 4 starts. When will you finally realize something is truly wrong and that you're not just going to give him the normal rest and hope he works itself out?
Yeah, I mean, Bumgarner's got a 6 ERA since signing with the Diamondbacks, 5.73 this year. His peripherals are a little bit better this year than last year, but he's had 2 stints here. His first 3 starts, he had an 11.20 ERA. His last 3, he had a 12 ERA. He had a nice run there in the middle that included his 7-inning no-hitter. But I mean, this guy is just getting knocked around. He's clearly, he said that he was dealing with this shoulder discomfort for multiple starts. Why are you going to send him back out there if he's feeling like that? Why not at least give him 10 days to let the inflammation subside? You're not playing for anything other than last place here. This feels like a very Mets-like, Wilpon era Mets-like decision to just keep pushing a guy back out there because there's no bone showing.
Oh, by the way, speaking of the Mets, how brilliant is it to give your star like Noah Syndergaard 4 innings in his first ever start back, and then you find out that he hurts himself? I mean, isn't that the most Mets thing to do? And you could give him an inning or 2 innings and just give him a chance to just get a little bit to get his feet wet. But no, let's throw him out for 4 innings in his first start, and then we're not really surprised when he's going through some arm troubles afterwards.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm sure that the Mets actually built up his pitch counts in simulated games before sending him into the rehab assignment. But a guy like Syndergaard, for whom velocity is such an indicator. I mean, we're talking about a guy with a 90-mile-an-hour slider when he's healthy. Yeah, you're always, I think, going to be a little worried that he's going to be overdoing it, overworking. Tommy John surgery. It's not a matter of working of working so hard so you can get back quickly. They found that's not the best route anymore. You want to protect the athlete from himself, and that to me, I think is where I would have concerns about how the Mets handle it. I haven't looked closely at the pattern on Bumgarner's, on Syndergaard's injury, but just in general, he strikes me as a guy you're going to want to make sure he eases off the throttle a little bit during this rehab.
Talking baseball with Jay Jaffe right now. How excited are you that Cleveland is finalizing new nicknames and should have the final list to vote pretty quick?
Oh, actually, I hadn't seen that news, but yeah, it can't come soon enough. We've at Fangraphs, we've stopped using the current name on the website. Obviously, there's a long history there. But if they've conceded that it's time for it to change, we've decided that we are going to be ahead of the curve and move on from it. It's always a little bit awkward to write about, when you're listing a bunch of teams and you've got to distinguish between nicknames and city names. But anyway, I'm still rooting for the Spiders.
There you go. Well, it's a possibility. It could happen. Maybe they bring it back. It looks like baseball is going after pitchers from using illegal substances. They're going to give umpires the chance to crack down on that and give them a little more latitude. Is this a good thing or a bad thing?
I think there's been a lot of talk about this for a while. Trevor Bauer and other pitchers, have seemed to have demonstrated that yes, you can apply a substance to the ball and increase your spin rate. There are rumors of pitchers on many teams are doing it now, if not most teams. And we've seen a rise in the average spin rate of pitches year over year. So there's more to it than just the rumors, I think. So yeah, I think it's time for baseball to crack down on it. But I also think that baseball needs to work towards a solution to help pitchers get a better grip on the ball. I know they've been experimenting with the materials and the surfaces of the ball, and that's some of what's fueled the problems that they've had with the baseball with the drag and the seam height and the home runs over the last few years. But they really do need this. They really do need to solve this issue because the game is right now very much out of balance.
Totally agree with you. Let's wrap up our weekly chat with your beer pick of the week. Jay, what would you like to focus on for our listeners this week?
Well, I was going to reach in my fridge and pull out something, but it occurred to me I wanted to talk about one that I had. I guess it was a little over a week ago when my parents were in town visiting from Salt Lake City. We went out one day for some hot chicken. Extremely spicy Nashville style fried chicken from a place called Peaches, which does not mess around. I had the extremely hot. It's the first time I'd had it since the pandemic, and I had a great beer to go with it. This was the Oxbow Lupolo Pilsner, and this was about as perfect a beer to put the fire out as I could have hoped for. It was a kind of a nice, German style, although it's sort of named for an Italian style Pilsner. Grassy, a little bit of a creamy head, a little bit of herbal and lemon to it. It was exquisite. This was one of the best craft pilsners I've had. Oxbow is a company from Maine. This came in at 5% ABV. I know I've bought it in 4-packs before. I want to go out and try to find it again because it was that good.
By the way, how was that chicken for you on a scale of 1
to
10?
It was a challenge, but I was able to get through most of it, and it was tasty. I'll go back.
It was, but the beer helped quench it. Would you?
Oh,
now,
absolutely.
You
I couldn't have done it without the beer.
Are you a spicy food fan?
Generally, yes. I'm up for a good hot chicken challenge. Every day, I'm like, I'm always looking for something. Add the hot peppers on the sandwich. Add the hot salsa with the habanero, whatever. I'm not like a ghost pepper guy. I'm not like psychotic when it comes to this stuff. But I do like a little heat.
All right. Hey, great job. Appreciate the conversation as always. We'll look forward to talking to you from the Cape next week.
All right. Sounds great. Thanks, Steve.